It's a perfect place to be.
All right. Can you double check?
Yeah,
We're
right.
good.
We need a producer. It's fine. Like
Are we
need
good?
It's
Are we
like
3, 2, 1?
It's like
4
we need
times.
a producer. We need a producer.
We do need a producer. Now I'm stressed. Did I press the play button or did I not press the play button? I mean,
Producer.
if you're here, I think I pressed it. We're good?
Recording.
Okay, cool. We're recording. This is a good intro to our second time guest here.
Second most popular as
Second
well.
most
We forgot
popular
that. There you go.
4-time video was Mr. I want to call you Dr. Dan German.
Sure, go
are you a
ahead.
doctor?
No, I'm not. No. No.
Dr. Dan German, no. Mr. Dan German here, who runs Myriad Weightlifting, has the second most famous 4-time. Go back to it, because this guy has a personality on him like you may have never seen before.
So they say.
So they say. Dan, you're here today to talk a little bit about weightlifting. Actually, just talk about you. What is your life update right now? How are you doing?
Got 2 littles, so busy.
Yes.
Lots
What are the
of fun.
ages?
3.5 and 10 months now.
10 months, yeah.
So yeah.
So that's the
almost
crawling, pulling up stage?
Almost in the walking phase,
Yep,
which is
yep.
where the threat level goes to midnight, and then your life's over. So that's fine, you know. So that
This is the
perfect.
stage where you have to block off everything in the house,
Yes,
every single pair of
yes.
stairs,
The
every
Panama
single...
Canal of our house. Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
So,
Yep. Yeah, so that's good. Running the weightlifting, we've got a lot coming up for the fall, which is great. We have the Capital Cup, the 4th installment, I believe.
Is it the 4th?
That is the 4th installment, 2019, correct? And then
I don't know, but yeah.
Then there was a pause somewhere around,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
like
sure.
2020, right? You know, and then it returns. So the 4th installment, we have that coming up in September. The finals are in December in the Southwest. So
Where at in Southwest?
Tucson.
Okay. Tucson, Arizona. That's super
Yes,
Southwest.
Yes,
That's
very
way down there.
Southwest. About as Southwest as you can get, I
Yeah, I
believe.
was gonna say, yeah. How many
yeah.
athletes are we looking to get out there?
Ooh, probably in the double digits.
Oh, really?
From what it
Okay.
looks like, from the interest we have, probably in the double digits. Lots of people are hyped about that. The American Open Finals is something that they've expanded to youth and masters lifters.
Nice.
So we have a good number of senior lifters, which are like your 21 to 35, and then we have a decent number of people that are going to be 35 plus that want to go. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I feel like, is it usually out west like that for the AO final? I feel like it's
They
usually
just
Midwest.
rotate.
Okay.
Last year was Far East Coast, about as far east as you get, and now like it just rotates, right? So,
And that's December, you said?
yeah, not a bad place to go. So those
Yeah.
are our people that are running into qualification there. The Capital Cup will have a chance to qualify for that. That's in the window, so that's great.
And Capital Cup is September
14th.
14th.
Yes.
That's open to all categories, all
Yep,
age levels, and
yep.
divisions.
Yep. So it is a sanctioned weightlifting meet. So you have to be a member of USAW, etc. But hyped times right now. We just had our first American medal from Hamp the Champ.
Yes, 20 years old.
As of like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I just saw that on Facebook as well. So people watching this who
Yes.
have no idea, what is his full name?
Hampton Morris.
Hampton Morris, that's
And,
correct.
you
He's
can
20
look
years
him up.
old.
20 years old, lives in Marietta, Georgia, I believe. Trains out of his garage. I'm pretty sure for most of the time with no one else. Has a nice little
wild.
garage setup. Sponsored by Rogue, I believe,
Okay.
Which is cool. And has ascended the ranks. He did not hit a world record this time, but he has set the world record multiple
That's
times,
insane.
which is awesome. So great story there. You'll see more about him on the Olympic channels, which is great.
Yeah.
Um,
And with weightlifting, I was reading a small article before. We
Yep.
didn't plan on even talking about
Yeah,
this, but this is a great topic,
Mm-hmm.
especially with weightlifting. In the sport of weightlifting, it's typically seasoned individuals, and I say seasoned by like
Yeah,
age.
yep.
So like more often, like you'll see people who are medaling or in Olympics that are a little bit older. So being 20 years old is pretty wild, correct?
Yes, so there is quite the factory that's happening right now with that junior category from the 18 to 21 range right now. So yeah, like it's really exploded at like the youth level, and people are getting good fast now. So
That's insane.
Yeah, I think like the average age in that session, like I think I looked at the ages, and like a lot of mid 20s, like some late 20s. But to have somebody that young that holds the junior world record and the senior world record is pretty wild. So he got a bronze, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. So
What? So I guess he's 20 years old. Like, do you know his story at all? Like, what got him into weightlifting? Was he doing sport, and then a certain sport got him into weightlifting, or did he just like?
I'm sure there'll be some like fact checks on this. So I know his dad was in the strength world, I believe, in powerlifting, weightlifting as well, to a certain point. But there are photos and videos of him as a youth, right?
Got it.
So like he was in it young, and then just kind of continued, to get better. So awesome to see, right? Definitely a bright future there. Has done like so many comps on the world stage that it just seems like he is just like in the right place for it. So awesome to see that. But it all starts from the local level. So it's really good to get out there and see what you can do, and just kind of see where it goes for you. So that's really cool.
And so, getting into weightlifting as a whole, you talked about the local level. I mean, it's available to anyone, and you'll see youths who are, specifically training for a sport that get into weightlifting. You'll see some people who are looking for something completely different that will get into weightlifting. You'll see individuals who are looking for a community that will find weightlifting. What are other aspects of people finding weightlifting as a sport or as their thing?
I think
I guess CrossFitter is another one.
Kind of like the combination, of people that want to do something for their health of their sport, or maybe they've tried a bunch of other types of strength training, but it just hasn't worked out for them.
Yeah.
Or they don't have those sort of sense of social aspects, and there's not the cool factor, right? Like I said it several times, no one's doing a burpee when they're lying down at night, dreaming about something cool. They're like, man, I can't wait to do burpees, right? Doing something like a power clean, right? Which kind of leads you into the sport for a lot of people, right? It's just a cool thing, right? It's like a nice feeling. You see it in the weight room, right? You'll see it on Instagram, where there'll be 30 kids just surrounding one person, right? And they're just so hyped, and they're like, I'm gonna do this awesome thing, right? So there's a thing of just kind of learning something cool that I think a lot of people want, as a part of their fitness. It's not the entire thing, right? There's a lot of other things that are going to ride along with it.
For sure.
But just having that wow factor of man, I learned something that was really hard, and I feel so awesome when I do it. Right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's funny you say that about it's not just one thing where a lot of times people hear weightlifting and they think oh, I'm just going to clean the barbell to my shoulders. I'm just going to jerk it overhead, or I'm just going to snatch from the ground overhead. I'm just going to do 3 things and that's it for the entirety of this program. The one thing that I've been blown away about, having you on the team for the last 3+ years, has just been seeing your breadth. I can't say that word, but you know what I mean. Of programming and watching your athletes and watching weightlifters over there working on plyometrics, working on isometrics, working on unilateral work, working on literally every aspect of their body to get better at these 3 large things or large compound movements we're looking at, which is the clean and jerk is essentially 1, and then the snatch is 1, right? So technically 2 movements, but you know what I mean. Yep. And it's just really cool to see that this is available and helps all athletes.
Yeah,
and all sports.
Yeah, and it's it's a well-rounded sport, or really it can be, right? You can make it right into just 3 things, and you can make it very traditional and boring, but if you're having a meal, right, you just don't want it to be bland all the time, right? You need some spice. So it's not necessarily.
What's your favorite spice?
Saffron. Let's just say saffron. Why not? Right, that seems like a wild one. Yeah, I don't know. That seems
our observers here are very excited about that one.
Yeah, right. Saffron. I don't know. Cinnamon, right? In right doses. I don't know. Some that people traveled across the world, to try to take from another country. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's just a wild thing to think about, right? So yeah, no. So you're making a meal, you need the meat and potatoes, right? But then you got to make it flavorful, and that's not necessarily just for your own, wants and needs, right? But you got to get better at a lot of different things. For sure. And so that's where you're going to see a lot of the jumping, right? You should be able to jump, right? You can't jump, it's a problem, right? It's you have something wrong with your game in another sports, right? You need to go work on that skill.
Totally.
So you should be able to jump. You should have a decent amount of muscle mass. you should be able to like do something on the bar out here in terms of like swinging your body around. Like you don't have to necessarily do a muscle up. You should have some level of like body awareness, right? Like that's why like they draw a lot of people from those sports of like high like body awareness when they're young.
For sure.
So yeah, so like you should be pretty well rounded, and that's something that you're gonna get with a good like structured weightlifting program. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what we do here. Well, man, time's up.
No, you're good. I had one
fast.
final
That was
question.
fast.
No, it
Then
is,
go
it is
ahead.
fast 10 minutes. You and I could talk forever.
Extra time. Here we go.
It is. So weightlifting, we talked about this last time, but like how do we give an elevator pitch to people what weightlifting is versus what the general public thinks weightlifting is? Like everything you just said to me made complete sense, but how does someone who might not be a part of the Myriad community or understand weightlifting know what weightlifting is? Like Google it?
Yeah.
Come in and ask questions?
Like, Google it, right? You can watch it. Like, hopefully you'll
Olympic
see,
weightlifting? I know you don't necessarily
something,
love
right?
that term, but
there is like a Visa commercial right now that is out for the Olympics where there's a guy running with a barbell over his head
I know what you're talking
that
about.
plays every 30 seconds.
I know.
So if you can just say, have you watched the Olympics? Have you seen that? Like, he's running the 100-meter dash with like 200 kilos over his head. You can just watch that.
Yeah, it's
right. So like you're gonna do fast, cool stuff, right? Like you're gonna learn something new. Like it's high skill, high speed, right? High everything.
By the way, the guy running with the weight over his head, it's fake weight.
Definitely not real.
Yeah, he's not really
yeah,
doing that.
definitely not real.
Marta back here was like, what? Cool. Dan, thank you so much for your time. I
welcome.
appreciate it. Boom, 4 time.